Hey y'all, I'm Elisa, the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and today I am working on a couple of custom spreads for my patrons, Shannon and Denise. They are at the platinum level of my Patreon group, which means that they get to choose a custom spread each month. They let me know the size, the layout, the theme, and then I create a spread for them, mail it to them, and then they can pop it in their planner and use it. So I'm really excited. I think you guys will like the themes they chose. Just a heads up, we are getting ready for 31 days of planner peace over on my Patreon channel. We're going to spend the month of August doing all kinds of planner things, and that includes 31 days of planner printables, which will be a lot of fun. And there's a special promo if you sign up at the $24 tier, which is the bestie tier. If you sign up at that tier by July the 18th, then you too will receive a custom spread in the month of August. So usually that is reserved for my top tier, but just for the month of August, we're going to do it at the bestie tier, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I love making these spreads. One of my favorite videos to put together each month. So I will put you guys on fast forward. I will link everything down below. There's also a link to Patreon if you want to check that out. So otherwise, let's go. All right, so first up is going to be Denise. Denise uses a big size vertical planner, and she actually gave me several different options for some themes that she would like to see for this month. And I decided to go with a travel theme because she has a little bit of some traveling coming up. One of her sons is looking at colleges, so they are going to be doing some trips to check out colleges. And so I decided let's go with like a summer travel theme. And Denise is not afraid of bright colors. She likes a bright spread. This one isn't going to be too in your face bright, but it is going to have some nice pops of color in it for sure. So I've trimmed out just the boxes from an extra planner that I have, and I'm pulled out my Distress Oxide. This is Salvage Patina, and I'm using it just to distress the edges. This is going to bring in that fun pop of color that I know Denise likes. And I feel like this sets it apart as like a travel summer spread as opposed to just a general travel spread, just because I think the bright colors really say travel. And this one is kind of all kinds of travel. She didn't say whether they were going to do a road trip or be flying, but it's going to have them all. So hopefully, Denise, you'll be able to use this as you plan for those trips. The matte I'm using to blend on is actually the Jane Davenport Splat Matte. I don't even know if they have this anymore. They used to sell it at Michael's. It works great because it keeps the paper pretty still. It's not sticky, but things don't slide on it super easily as far as paper, but the blending happens pretty easily on it. And like I said, I'm just going around the edges. Whenever you're blending, you want to start off of the paper and work in circles to kind of blend it onto the paper. You don't want to plop your blending brush straight down on the paper, or else you'll end up with a like defined circle, and that's usually not what you're going for. So doing this, I love when I work on these custom spreads to be able to put them on different paper, because I know that my patrons are going to be, popping these in their planner and having to adhere them to the pages that are already there anyway. I figured why not add some fun paper? So I found this floral paper. It's hard to see on camera, but there is a little bit of this teal color that is in the floral paper. So I'm going to add some adhesive on the back and then position this to where there's still room to add the days of the week at the top, making sure that that's pretty centered on the page, but it's always skewed a little bit to the right because you want to have room for the disc punch happening as well. So getting both of those down, and then I'm ready to pull out my Happy Planner disc punch. You're going to see I've lost the bottom to my Happy Planner disc punch, the black bottom. So that's why you see all of the little paper cutouts once I punch. But now it's ready to go. Now I can just begin decorating. I pulled out a mega book. This is the Botanicals mega book that happens to have a bunch of lettering in it as well. So that's where I'm going to pull the days of the week from. I love that they're printed on clear sticker paper so you can see them, and you can still see the pattern coming from underneath. And Denise, once you get this, you'll be able to date it at the top yourself. That way you can save it for any week that you are traveling. I feel like my patrons that are receiving custom spreads are doing such a fantastic job of picking amazing themes, and they are really starting to challenge me with some of the themes that they're coming up with, and I could not love it more. Generally, I go to the craft store. I think about their theme and I go to the craft store to see if I can find anything unique that is inspiring me. I did find some great stickers from the Paper Studio that are this mix of like a little bit vintage, but I do like the brighter colors. And so I'm going to use those stickers. I was having trouble getting it off here. Some of these clear stickers lately, you guys, have been like giving me issues. And I have the Rainbow Boxes Mega Book, and these pastels actually go pretty nicely too. But I didn't have any longer boxes on that side. I did find a longer box on this side. I'm looking for a color that will go well as far as longer boxes. That will work well. We'll pull this one off, and I have the best idea, or at least I think it is. So I put this one down. I wanted to have this little bus kind of be the start of, it's a double-decker bus. I was like, this will be the start of like the road trip. And so it'll be right here. But as I was thinking about it, I was like, what if I have an actual road across this paper? Hang with me here. I know this is going to sound a little bit crazy, but this is just gray cardstock. I cut it down to the correct height, and then now I'm just measuring out the width, and I'm going to create a road because my guess is that there will be some driving involved whenever you travel. Even if you fly, a lot of times you're renting a car, so there's going to be some traveling involved, and I think having the road here will be a lot of fun. So this is an Archer and Olive acrylograph pen, just using it. It's kind of in this muted yellow color, using it to add the little dash lines across my road. And this road will just go straight down the center of these two pages. It looks a little crazy at first. I promise it's all going to come together. I always try to make these spreads a little extra, a little unique, just because it is something special for them to pop in their planner. We don't always have time to create an over-the-top spread, and so I want to give them an opportunity to kind of enjoy an over-the-top spread in their planner. Just going over those lines just to make sure they're nice and opaque. I will kind of blow on them, trying to dry them off, and I decide, you know what, I feel like they need a little bit of an outline, so I'm going to go with the black pen just to really make those marks stand out, those little dash marks down the middle. So we'll add that, and then I will use Tombow adhesive to put my road down on the page, and then we're really going to have fun with a lot of the decorating. I really enjoyed making both of the spreads this time around. You're going to really like the next one as well. But something that did challenge me was that neither of my patrons asked for specific dates, like specific things on specific dates. Both of them we thought undated, and so we went with undated, and I had a little bit of trouble deciding what boxes and checklists and things like that should go where. It can be a challenge to make something not just beautiful, but also functional. And I do want them to be able to use these spreads in their planners. So we're going to start with some of the prettiness, some of the like cute little elements. We have the bus. We're going to have a scooter over here. It's so cute. But what I'm going to do is work with these elements layering on boxes. And when I don't know what they're going to be up to, I just try to have a variety on the page. I know when I plan, I don't need a certain box on a certain date necessarily. I just need it near that date. So like this one is going to be kind of between Thursday and Friday. It's leaning towards Thursday, but it could also work for Friday if Denise chooses to add a little arrow or something like that. I have a longer checklist. I actually I'm going to put it back. I decide not to use it right now. It'll come back at the end of the spread. I have another place for it. I decide what I'm going to do is just pick out a bunch of the boxes. There are some grays that work really well. I'm going to go back to these pastels because the pinks and the kind of bluish colors and the purples go really well with some of the decorative stickers that I have. So I'm trying to make sure I have certain sizes, just kind of a mixture. And I will just add boxes, having a place to write in each day, having some checklists across the page just so that it can still be functional. But I really, really want it to bring a smile to their face when they get to open up the planner and see these kind of special pages jump out. I did decide that before I went too much farther with the decorating, I did need to make sure that there was some function on this page. Because I put that whole road down the middle, that did take up some of the space. Now, Denise, you can feel free to write on top of that. You could write on it with a white gel pen and it would pop off. You could also write on it with black. Either way, you can write on the road. That's no big deal. But I did want to make sure I had some boxes around as well. So we have wild and free, a little road sign over here. Trying to decide if I want to turn some different angles and what elements. This one I love, Adventure Awaits. I'm trying to figure out how I want to layer that particular box. That one's going to go there for sure, right under the dotted line. And I think layering on top of the road makes it a little bit less in your face, if that makes sense. So pulling the boxes down and having them kind of overlap. And I love that all the vehicles are going to be on the road. So we have our bus, we have a little scooter, we have a car right there, and then I think we're going to have some airplanes coming in. Now, hopefully no one runs into any airplanes on their actual road trips, but you know, planes, trains, and automobiles. We're going to do it all, you guys. When I'm working on these spreads, I try to think of a good mixture in a planner spread. What do you need in a planner spread to make it functional? For me, I always need some boxes and I always need some checklists. And then I happen to like some blank space, which probably sounds weird because I fill up all the space in my planners all the time. But I like some boxes that don't have anything. I might, every now and then. I do like a lot going on in my spreads, but I don't mind that there is some empty space as well because I tend to fill it up with writing. So let me know, what are your like go-tos, things you absolutely have to have in a planner spread? I'd love to hear. If you do end up requesting a custom spread from me, if you join that tier for Patreon, remember for the month of August, if you join by July 18th, it's only the bestie tier. Otherwise, normally it's the platinum tier, but you can always let me know if you have specific things you need. Like I need boxes on every day, or I happen to have checklists all on the left side. You can be as specific as you want because I want these to be really functional spreads. But like I said, I want them to be fun, something that you maybe wouldn't normally do on your own. That's kind of the joy of that particular perk. So I like these banners. One said next stop and one said last stop. I thought last stop on a Sunday was perfect. Kind of the last things for that particular week. The next stop, it just kind of fit on Wednesday. So hopefully that works for Denise. We're going to add some of these little "you are here" elements, trying to figure out places where they match really nicely. I always like putting it on corners of the boxes. I feel like that helps it feel less boxy because it breaks up that kind of harsh corner. Okay, I was going to put the airplane here, but it kind of looked weird having the airplanes right on the same page. So we'll put that airplane over here. Eventually, I find a bicycle. The bicycle will go over on good times. My thought being, if you're riding a bicycle, maybe you're not on the regular road. Maybe that's on the sidewalk, which is off the road. So that probably sounds a little bit crazy, but that was my thought. Like the airplanes shouldn't be on the road. The only ones that are on the road are the things that should actually be on the road. All right, next up is Shannon's spread. And Shannon requested a vintage themed spread, and I was more than happy to oblige her. And I'm more than a little obsessed with how this one came out. It feels like a junk journal come alive. So Shannon uses a classic sized vertical planner. So I'm just trimming out some extra planner pages. Again, I'm just going to use scrapbook paper in the background. I think it's a fun way to set the tone for the page. And since my patrons are just adding this to their planner anyway, why not like go the whole extra 9 yards and do that extra paper in the background? I think it's a fun way to really set a spread apart. So we're going to trim out the boxes, move out all the extra stuff, and then add a little bit of distress oxide on these as well. As soon as Shannon said vintage, I knew that I would be pulling out my distress oxides and weathering the edges of her boxes. I'm starting with Tattered Rose. I'm actually going to use 2 different colors for hers just to give it a little bit more depth. So Tattered Rose is kind of a light pink color. It's coming off a little bit yellow on screen, but really it's a pink, kind of an aged paper color. So we'll do Tattered Rose first, and then I will come back and add some vintage photo as well, and that will just give it a very worn look, kind of an old school like weathered paper look, which is a great way to set the tone for a vintage spread. If you are using the distress oxide and you're not taking your boxes, like you're not cutting them out like I do, you can always tape them off. So you could tape some extra paper to cover those edges and you could still use the distress oxide just like I'm doing, and just have paper covering the parts of the planner page that you don't want ink to get into. So you can mask that off and kind of protect it. Here you can see the vintage photo coming in and how it adds just that little bit of extra dimension. I love having both of the colors on there. I think it's a lovely look. And really, honestly, you could just use the scrapbook paper in the background, do a little Distress Oxide on your boxes, and this would be more than enough to set the tone for a whole page. It would really come together nicely. Of course, I'm going to add more for the wonderful Shannon. We're gonna take this up a notch even more. But look at this gorgeous paper I found at Hobby Lobby. It's like these old postcards. I thought was perfect, and we're gonna kind of go with a vintage mail theme. Like there's gonna be lots of stamps on here. It's fun. So we'll add these papers on just using Tombow adhesive like always to get those on, and then we will punch it using the Happy Planner punch to make sure all of the holes are in place. I always like to punch it early because I don't want to forget where the holes are going to be as I'm placing other stickers down, if that makes sense. There's all my little punches because I lost the bottom to my Happy Planner punch. All right, so again, I'm pulling out the Botanicals Mega Book here to get the days of the week. Same kind of deal. They're on clear sticker paper so you can read them. Shannon will be able to just add the dates that she chooses on the top. It is fun making an undated spread because then they can just save it for whenever they might need a pick-me-up, whenever they don't have time to decorate their own spread. So I think that I think the undated ones are a lot of fun. All right, again, I'm also pulling out that Rainbow Boxes Mega Book because it has these gorgeous neutrals. Like I know it's the Rainbow Boxes, but I love that it has neutrals. I am also pulling out some vintage tickets. These are actually from Tim Holtz. He has a whole book of vintage tickets that you can tear out. And I'm going to use several of those in the spread to add a little extra vintage appeal. And I got these stickers also from Hobby Lobby. They're Paper Studio brand, and they are some pretty cardstock stickers that have a little bit of metallic to them in a whole vintage feel. But I didn't want to use just stickers. I wanted things that actually felt vintage. And I have these little paper bits. And let me tell you the story of those. These actually came with the card catalog that I have in my craft room. So when I bought that really pretty card catalog I have, there was a little envelope in the corner that had all these little vintage pieces of paper. And they were like pieces of paper that had been labels in the card catalog. And so I've saved them. I've used them every now and then. I'm going to use a few on this spread for Shannon because it's like actual vintage paper, and I think it really lends itself to this spread. And there's writing and typing, and it's so fun. So I'm going to use those to like be behind some of the boxes, and then we'll create little clusters with the stamps. So again, vintage paper on the bottom. Let's add a little stamp here on the top. I'm just trying to, oops, that one tore ever so slightly. I just want to make sure there's room. And we're just going to layer the different pieces together. Look how cute it came out. Shannon, I hope I have enough on here for you to be able to write. I kind of go to town with the tickets because I think they're so fun. Before I get too crazy, I am going to add some checklists in there just because you can cover a lot with checklists. So if you end up going a little overboard on the decorating, like I tend to sometimes, then having a few really functional checklists on your page can go a long way. I decide I'm going to kind of connect these two areas together. Let's put the ticket down. The tickets that I'm using all have beautiful coloring to them. They're like these pinks and this beautiful like light brown. I think they're so pretty. Adding a few boxes. Let's fill in this space. I kind of play a little bit. I want to fill in the space, but I don't want to cover up the checklist area. So what can I fit in here? I kind of play back and forth, and I think we're going to end up with one of the balloons that is beautiful right in that area. So put this one down and this one down. Let's take our attention over to the right side. I love those papers. So let's pick the boxes that I can like lay on those papers and how they can turn. So paper goes down first, box on top, and then because I picked a monthly layout one that has that corner notch, then we need to cover that up with a sticker. That will be perfect. Another stamp. So see, it's kind of like a vintage mail theme, and I guess these pieces of paper that were part of the card catalog, it was like it must have been in a garage of some sort. It was like office garage kind of things, meaning they were counting their nuts and bolts. Like it was the inventory for a garage. What was in my card catalog from before. So it's kind of mail room themed, maybe organization themed. Adding a little cluster down here. Look how cute. Like I said, I'm a little low-key obsessed with this. I wanted to make another one for myself right after right after I finish this. That might be the hardest part of making these spreads is like giving them up when I really fall in love with them, but I know Shannon is going to really love. She is a amazing junk journaler as well. So I know she'll kind of really appreciate this theme once it gets to her. All right, so let me know in the comments below, do you like Denise's travel themed spread or do you like Shannon's vintage theme spread the best? Let me know which one you like the best. Don't forget that you also can get your very own custom spread over on Patreon. That special promo goes through July 18th. So if you sign up at that bestie tier by July 18th, then you will be receiving a special custom spread in the month of August. And plus you'll get all the other perks that are happening in August. We have 31 days of planner printables. We have a lot of fun things going on, extra content, plus you will not regret becoming part of this amazing community that's growing over there. They are absolutely awesome. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the bell notification button. As always, I will link supplies down below so you can be sure to check those out. All right, I hope that you have an absolutely fabulous day. And as always, keep it creative.